Talk about what you heard from Donald Trump this morning. A lot of words, but I can't say any of it really made sense, meaning we don't know what he plans to do or say in this immigration speech.
We don't either, but I can tell you this right now, it won't matter. He has defined himself with Latino voters and their allies for the past year and 3 months. He has defined himself as a racist. He's someone who says that a Latino judge can't judge him because he's Latino. He called immigrants from Mexico rapists and murderers and drug dealers. He threw a very prominent Latino journalist, Jorge Ramos, out of a press conference after he sneered, "Go back to Univision." I mean, this guy is so well defined. That's why he's polling in the teens with Latinos when most experts think at a minimum you have to win, a Republican nominee has to win in the mid-40s to be competitive in a national race.
You know, Frank, it's interesting if all of this talk about building a wall and having this deportation force was to appeal to the base. You certainly recall Senator Ted Cruz, during their most heated back and forth, said that there was an off-the-record conversation Donald Trump had with the New York Times in which he indicated his plan was always to pivot, if you will, in the general election. This had been out there. But I think his campaign would say, unfortunately, they had a million other problems to worry about, and he was not able to make this transition. Ted Cruz said he was always planning.
Yeah, no, I think pivot is going to become the word of this election. It's becoming the biggest joke. I mean, look, what I think Trump is probably going to do is try to soften his rhetoric, not change his policy, in an attempt, much like he's doing with, in a very ham-fisted way with African Americans, to try to say, look, I'm not the racist you think I am, so Republican voters who are having trouble with me, you suburban voters, come home and vote for me. It is not about Latino outreach. It is not about a shift in policy. It is about trying to soften some of his very rough and racist edges to try to pick up some more Republican votes. It's not going to work. Look, we all know what he's for. He's for rounding up and deporting 11 million people. And even if he backs off that a little bit rhetorically, the cake is baked. He's defined. We know him, and the public knows him.
You make the point, Frank, the very thing that our first read team, and I'll show our audience a little bit later more of what it says, but basically this retreat on immigration, if that is the case, some of this outreach, as it's been called, to the African-American community, it has nothing to do with Hispanics. It doesn't have anything to do with black or brown voters. This has to do with some of the suburban white women who are uncomfortable with him, his rhetoric, and he is trying to show them that he is not this character that some at this point believe he is, or this racist that some believe he is at this point.
Look, I mean, as Hallie Jackson was just pointing out, if Trump actually shifted his position on immigration, the howls from his white nationalist base would be overwhelming. So, I mean, look, his base is who he's tied to. They love the fact that he has said things that are from the fever swamps of the far-right fringe in America as policy. Mass deportation is something that is rejected by the overwhelming number of Americans. There was just a Gallup poll that said by a rate of 84-16, the American people want to give undocumented immigrants a chance to get on a path to citizenship.
Well, Frank,
so he's talking about a very unpopular position. I think he's trying to shed the label, but not change the policy.
Frank, you may us now. Thank you very much, Frank. Is David White.